Chapter 1. The smoke inside the underground structure made it difficult to see, stinging the eyes, hiding everything within its gray embrace. The goggles he yanked down from atop his head and seated firmly to protect his orbs prevented damage to tissue, but more importantly, filtered for heat signatures. Wearing the specialized lenses meant he saw the world in another layer, a grid of colors to mark objects. Blue for heat, the darker the shade, the more intense the flame. Gray for cold, the lighter the color, the chillier the temperature. Visible metal mass showed up in shades of purple, while biological matter hinted of green and blue, with occasional orange, depending on whether they were water-based or not. It took but a millisecond to scan the area, to catalog the various colors. A hint of biomatter swayed into view, then hid. Not very well, he should add. He didn't turn his head, didn't give any sign he'd noticed anything at all, merely raised his arm and fired. A large bullet, a solid 75 millimeters wide and coated in vermilion oil, which ignited if it got wet, rocketed to his target. Blood counted as moisture, so when that missile hit, it blew a hefty hole, which was why it was disconcerting to see the blue-green body not just rise with a hole in its chest, but step toward him, the rim of its wound showing yellow. Not biological after all. Damned androids. The layer of heated flesh over synthetic machine parts meant they could fool the goggles' lenses. He raised his gun again, even as the robot, unable to feel pain and not completely incapacitated, fired. Move. Despite Jules ducking and leaning to his left, the bullet nonetheless sheared the side of his head. The floor didn't provide a soft landing for his shoulder. Something crushed, and he could only hope he'd not dented anything. He aimed his gun even as he fell. The second massive bullet hit the robot in the head, blew a hole right through it. But best to be careful. The knees were taken out with 2 more shots, enough to send the android to the ground. Immobilizing it wasn't enough, though. It still twitched, the metal grip still clutching its weapon tight. Damn things were hard to kill, and you had to kill them. Never walk away from one that still moved. No one ever forgot what had happened to Kyle. Poor guy thought he'd killed the rogue robot with a bullet between its eyes. Kyle turned and was walking away when the android took him out with a shot to the head. Jules' people might have conquered many things. Aging, disease, most injuries, limb and organ replacement. Yet the one thing they couldn't do was live without a brain. Without one, you were nothing more than an android. Yet, what if you could find something to enhance your intelligence, protect it, repair it? Why not? After all, they'd found something to replace hearts and lungs and even spines. Rumor had it a certain antique dealer was working on a device, something to act as the ultimate brain enhancer. Apparently, Jules wasn't the only one who'd heard that rumor. The house where the antique dealer lived might have been remote, but it certainly wasn't quiet. Jules had already killed another curiosity seeker, and now the house androids were attacking. This job had just taken an interesting turn. He held his arm to his mouth, the watch at his wrist fitted snugly over the metal bracers, and murmured, "Just put down a dirty dick." A slang term for a robot, because initially the first realistic androids had been made for sex, with great big dirty dicks that required a whole new set of health laws because they weren't being cleaned properly. Many places had banned the use of androids, especially those that mimicked life so well, but they made excellent servants, perfect soldiers who couldn't be corrupted, the example of why you needed a brain. A while back, a group tried to argue that dirty dicks should have rights. They tried to liberate them from their owners. They didn't live to regret that choice. In their zeal, they'd forgotten to factor in
Sample complete. Ready to continue?